Welcome back here in the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB as we broadcast at one of my favorite events one of my favorite places, the National. What a great spot to have the CNC Group Alphapointe Golf Tournament presented by Bank Midwest. It benefits Alphapointe. You can learn more about everything that Alphapointe does by going to alphapointe.org. Great programs for helping people that are visually impaired or blind, also employing many people that are visually impaired or blind, and a rich tradition here in Kansas City in this golf tournament. One of the things that helps support Alphapointe, again, I encourage you to go to alphapointe.org. And we are fortunate to be joined by local celebrity Cameron Black, a man who's been featured in documentaries. You may know Cameron a little bit. If not, you're going to learn more about him. He joins us right now, and he is the Content and Community Relations Specialist at Alphapointe. Cameron, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Soren. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. And you are, for people that don't know, who aren't here seeing us, you are visually impaired.
Yes, sir. I am completely blind, born and raised.
Okay. And in Alphapointe is where you've worked for how long?
I've worked at Alphapointe for going on a decade now. It'll be 10 years in November.
And doing what all jobs? What's the background?
I have done a little bit of everything at Alphapointe. I started out working part-time in our contact services, our call center, just performing inbound and outbound customer service. I was promoted from that position 8 months into a team lead position and worked that for the next 7 years. While doing that, I also worked some overtime in our office products department, our plastics department, and I've even done some covering behind the desk as well. So I did that for the first 8 or 9 years of my Alphapointe career.
And what all products, like Alphapointe is a legit business. People may not realize that, and that you talk about all the different, careers you have held, or all the different jobs you've had in your time at Alphapointe. Like, what all does Alphapointe, develop, build, do? Like what are some of the products?
On the production side of things, Alphapointe does a litany of things. So like I said, I worked in the contact center myself, so I was handling a lot of inbound and outbound customer service for different government projects, insurance projects, things like of that nature that we were answering calls for and making calls for. But in office products and in our plastics department, we produce everything from China markers and pins that are used by airline pilots to pharmaceutical bottles and bottle caps, and so many things in between that.
Yeah, so it's production, it's call center. There's a number of different things that are going on at Alphapointe. And you were also then, what is the proper term, a client? My daughter was, I don't know, I've always just said a participant. I don't know, was she a client at Alphapointe? Like you did go to Alphapointe before you worked there as well, correct?
Yes, sir, I did. So we would refer to them as clients.
Okay.
And like I myself am 36 years old. I was a client for Alphapointe when I was 20. I was there for a couple of months and went through our rehabilitation services. And then I graduated successfully from those services, left Alphapointe, and came back when I was 28 for opportunities of employment.
Okay. And, now what would you say is, your fondest memory of all your time at Alphapointe?
That's hard to say, sir. I've had so many fond memories. I will say that right now I truly love the department I work in right now. I love the folks that I get to work with. I love the things that I get to do, like this interview that I'm doing right now. And I've only been in the new department for a couple of months and already have so many fond memories from that department.
Are you considered the rock star of Alphapointe?
Yes.
Okay, I would think so. I would think so because you said that jokingly, smiled, and then you were going to correct it. But you actually been a part of a documentary,
yes, sir.
Right? And people may know your name. Let's talk about your time with Mitch Holthus. Because Mitch, I know you got together with him a number of different times, got to be in the booth with Mitch. You're a huge sports fan, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm a huge sports fan, mainly football and baseball, but I love all sports.
Okay. And so what all did you get to do with Mitch?
So my involvement with Mitch began because I started writing a blog that I called The Blind Quarterback. And I asked Mitch if when I wrote those blogs, if he would retweet them, basically, for me. And I was interviewed by the Kansas City Star about my fandom and how I listened to Mitch as a blind football fan. Mitch found out about that and was very happy with it and very impressed with it, and he invited me. He used to do, or he still does, a radio show from local Hy-Vees around the area on Monday nights, and he has invited me on that show several times. He's been out to Alphapointe. He has toured Alphapointe. He has seen our ADL apartment where I instructed him on how to make a peanut butter sandwich with a blindfold on. And he also nominated me as the Blue Cross Blue Shield Chiefs Kingdom champion back in 2018, and I was blessed enough and lucky enough to get to throw out the ceremonial first pass at a Sunday night game of Chiefs versus Bengals, and I got to meet Patrick Mahomes, and then when I was done doing that, I went up in the booth and sat with Mitch for the broadcast of the game.
That is, and how did you like? You sat with him, but you've also done your own broadcast, correct?
I did do my own broadcast. So there is a documentary out there. It is presented by Michelob Ultra. It is called Dreamcaster. And in that documentary, I used adaptive technology. I used a haptics vest and haptics gadgets on my arms, hands, and feet, complete with auditory devices and a 40 and 80 cell refreshable braille display. And I provided the play-by-play for a live NBA playoff game. It was Knicks versus Cavs in Madison Square Garden.
And what did you do? Did you enjoy that? Was it hard? What kind of surprised you about? And technically, how hard was it to do?
You know, technically, I trained on it quite a bit. I trained on the haptics technology and the auditory.
Hang on. You use the term haptics for people out there that don't know what that means. What does that describe? What that means?
Sure. So haptics was basically, it was giving me, I guess you would describe them as physical cues. I was wearing a vest that it was described to me looked like kind of a vest that they would use in like virtual reality.
Okay.
And every time different actions happened in the game, whether that be a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer, whatever the case may be, I had worked with the tech team for the vest and the gadgets on my arms, hands, and feet to vibrate in different ways, like 2 short vibrations for a 2-pointer, 3 big vibrations for a 3-pointer, and so on. So that is what I mean when I talk about haptics.
Okay, and that's how you were able to basically, for lack of a better term, digest the action that was going on. You know, instead of seeing it visually, you're feeling the action, which in a lot of ways might be a better. You know, it's like when Kevin Harlan gives a thunderous call, you almost feel like you can feel it when he comes, or Mitch with the, touchdown, Kansas City, that energy.
Yep.
You're physically feeling it and then portraying that on the broadcast.
Yes, so the haptics was giving me the physical cues, the auditory cues where we had different sounds set up for the different actions in the game, and then the actual information of what players were doing what and where they were in the court when they did it, and scores and stats and things like that I had on a 40-cell refreshable braille display.
Now, did you have a catchphrase?
I think one of the
boom goes the dynamite?
I think one of the catchphrases that we developed was whenever there was a really good 3-pointer, I would say, man, I wish I could have seen that.
That is fantastic.
Did anybody come up to you and go, you kind of threw me there at first, and then I, were they shocked when you fired that at them? You mentioned you and your father giving each other grief and everything. I see the sense of humor coming through right now. Is that, the kind of stuff that fires around at your house? That
fires around quite a bit. I have been teased for being blind since I came out of the womb. And it has continued at my work at Alphapointe. My supervisor and my close friend teases me all the time, and that is how I like it. That lets me know that people are comfortable with me, and I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I quite enjoy being blind. I'm very comfortable with it.
Are you like my daughter? Do you throw around a lot of grief at people? Like when you're like, I'll say to my daughter, look at Brooke, and she's like, well, I'm not going to look at it, number one. Like I really get it laid on pretty thick when she's upset at me and wants to dig at me. Do you fire it at other people as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll lay it on thick all the time.
Yeah, I like that. I'm glad. All right, so now you're a huge sports fan, right?
Yes, sir.
What do you think of the Royals? What's the problem? We were discussing what we were mentioning. Do you think they're a real contender, or do you think that they're just a team that's pretty good but needs some help before they can call themselves someone who can make a run at a World Series?
I think there's a lot of potential there for the Royals to be a real contender. However, I'm going to say if this season, if the regular season was to end right now, they would not even be in the playoffs. So I have to say no at this moment. I think that there is potential there. We were talking off air a little while ago. I think the pitching has been good. Chris Bubich has been better than I expected him to be. I don't know how you guys feel about that. But the offense is struggling. Other than Bobby and Michael Garcia, the rest of the offense seems to be struggling. So they're a little bit of a paper tiger right now. I think that the results lately, I mean, you sweep the Rockies, you sweep the White Sox, so what? Nobody cares. You take 2 out of 3 from the Orioles, that's great, but their pitching's awful.
Yeah.
So I think those results are a little misleading. I think there's a lot of potential there, but the offense is going to have to set fire, and they have to do it now.
You recognize you're kind of a harsh critic.
A little bit, yeah. And let me say, I love the Royals. I love my team, but I'm honest about them.
It's why you're harsh. It comes from the love.
That's
yeah,
right.
It comes from the passion of the team. We've been through some rough days with this club, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 106 losses. It's rough, man.
Yeah, I think we've earned.
I'm glad I couldn't see that.
I wished I couldn't have. They lost 407 games in the 4 years we had them.
Yeah, when we had them, we lost more than that. And trust me, there were
those were on the weekend.
Yeah, and doing pre and post for those games, especially after you get a 2.5-hour rain delay and it's 1:30 and you're talking about the 9th consecutive loss. I wish I couldn't have seen some of those as well. Yeah, trust me, we've got some scars. That's why people think we're jaded. We're talking to Cameron Black. He is the content and community relations specialist at Alphapointe. Cameron, so what do you think about this golf tournament? What do you think about everybody coming out and everybody that goes into this? So much work that goes into it. Jake and the whole staff and everybody here at the National does a great job putting it on. What do you think about the golf tournament? How's it going today?
I have been incredibly excited to be a part of the golf tournament. This is my first CNC Group Alphapointe golf tournament presented by Bank Midwest, and Jake, those guys work tirelessly. They work so hard to put this thing together. It seems like it's going off phenomenally. We are all really, really excited to be here. This event helps fund all of our youth programs, our adventure camp, our tech camp, all the youth that we do throughout the year. Last year, we had about 200 members of the youth involved with our different youth programs, and it wouldn't be possible without the work that is done here by Jake and the team and everybody else participating at the CNC golf tournament.
Do you know how much of an impact? Do you get a feel for how much of an impact you make with the young people? You mentioned you weren't a client that long here, but for some of the kids that kind of grow up, my daughter grew up with different events, whether it was the cooking club and has met so many people and friends from the camp and everything. Do you get a feel for how much of an impact Alphapointe makes with the young people?
I do, only because I unfortunately was not involved with Alphapointe's youth programs. I did not live here at the time, but I have been involved in my life with other youth programs that were geared towards children with visual impairments or blindness, and it was tremendously impactful on myself. So I know firsthand just how valuable the sort of things that Alphapointe does, the adventure camp, the tech camp. What we like to say at Alphapointe is that we are providers of opportunity, we are providers of choice, and to add my own on there, we are providers of hope. And that's what we do for these kids, and that's what we do for adults who walk through our doors as well.
We're talking right now, as I said, to Cameron Black from Alphapointe here as we broadcast at the golf tournament, the CNC Group Alphapointe Golf Tournament presented by Bank Midwest. Cameron, we do a little something we call the Final Four. 4 quick questions. You just tell me the first thing that pops into mind, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to start you with this. Do you got a mentor? Someone that you would say has made a big impact in you and your professional life in any way, shape, or form, just been a mentor to you?
I'd say I have a couple of mentors.
Okay.
My first mentor, just a mentor to me as a man and as a father. I have 2 small children. A mentor to me in sports is my father.
Okay.
My professional mentor, who has taught me just a lot about writing and a lot about the work that I do in my craft, is my supervisor and my extremely close friend, Scott.
Okay, Scott. What's Scott's last name?
Scott Cotter.
Scott Cotter. Okay. All right. Those are a couple of pretty good ones to have right there. All right. Next, what's your favorite sport?
Favorite sport, much to my father's chagrin, I think that baseball has supplanted football as my favorite sport. I love football, but there's something about baseball that just absolutely captivates me, and I love baseball.
Did you tell Patrick Mahomes that?
No.
Okay.
So I hope he's not listening.
All right. He's a big fan of the program.
That's no good. Sorry, Pat.
At least we like to believe that. He's not going to say otherwise. So we're going to stick with it. All right. Next, who was better, you broadcasting or Mitch making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
I got to tell you, those might match each other in terms of entertainment. Mitch did a very good job for a guy who's never been blind before making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. He did a pretty good job.
And people missed the first part. Cameron was talking about Mitch. He blindfolded him, and then he was making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich so you could see what it is, what the challenges are. I'm guessing that your broadcasting was better than his sandwich making.
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I think his sandwich.
Did you eat the sandwich?
No.
Well, so then
No.
I'm going to stick with it. I'll bet it was a sloppy mess. That's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to give you credit for it. All right. If there's one thing in society that you could change that would make things better for people that are blind or visually impaired, what would you change?
I think just the way that we are understood. I think what's really important to me that people realize is myself and a lot of my colleagues and coworkers. We are just like everybody else. We go home to our homes every night, and we have families, and we have spouses or girlfriends or boyfriends, and we have kids, and we have bills to pay, and we have mortgages, and we have passions and hobbies and interests and loves, and we're just like everyone else, and we can work just as hard as anybody else.
And you talk smack.
And we talk smack. We talk plenty to each other.
Yeah, I've witnessed that in my own home. In fact, I'm the source. I'm the butt of it usually. To be honest with you, Cameron, it's great to. I know we've chatted before in the past, but it's great to finally get a chance to meet you. Thanks for spending some time with us, and I hope we get a chance to talk again here real soon.
Thank you, Soren. Really appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
You bet. Cameron Black from Alphapointe here. He is the content and community relations specialist at Alphapointe. We want to thank everybody here at Alphapointe and here at the National. The National did a fantastic job hosting us and hosting this tournament, the CNC Group Alphapointe Golf Tournament presented by Bank Midwest. If you didn't play in it this year, play in it next year. Go to alphapointe.org. You can make donations there. You can see all the great work that Alphapointe does at their website. It's alphapointe.org. That's Alphapointe with an E on the end. Alphapointe.org. We want to thank everybody for having us out here at the National. And thanks to the National was an incredible host. So thank you to them and everybody that worked so hard to put on this great tournament.